COVID-19 spike, President Buhari meets Governor Sanwo-Olu and for more responses to suppressing the second wave in Nigeria. Your work is essential to lifting 100 million out of poverty, Buhari tells Disability Commission. I'm Najat Atutijani on Panorama this afternoon. Good afternoon. President Muhammadu Buhari has described as a promise fulfilled the formal takeoff of the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities aimed at protecting the rights and dignity of people with special needs in the country. Granting audience to the chairman and members of the commission, the president promised that under his watch, government would continue to give priority to all treaties which seek to improve the lives of disadvantaged Nigerians. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
The chairman and members of the National Disability Commission were led to the State House by the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk.
A patriotic and responsible leadership is that which focuses on a more dignified way of improving the lives of the less privileged. Accordingly, Your Excellency, your administration shall remain indelible in the hearts of persons with disabilities.
This sense of belonging being enjoyed by persons with disabilities in Nigeria is a pre-election promise delivered by President Muhammadu Buhari. The minister is, however, worried that over 95% of the nation's public buildings are not accessible to persons with disabilities.
There's also a high need for proactive measures to curtail the negative attitude towards persons with disabilities by creating mass awareness, eliminating discriminations in all forms, and improving their livelihood.
President Muhammadu Buhari said with Nigeria as a signatory and state party to the relevant United Nations Convention, nothing will be left to chance towards promoting the inclusion of persons with special needs in all development efforts.
The government is not unaware of the huge population of persons with special needs in Nigeria, estimated at over 25 million. The task before you is enormous. You must work diligently towards ensuring that government is able to touch the lives of our fellow citizens with special needs despite our limited resources.
While commending the governors of Lagos, Plateau and Nasarawa states for not only enacting disability laws but also establishing Disability Rights Commission in their states, the president insists that states yet to do so should take necessary action to enable government efforts have the desired impact at subnational levels.
Let me conclude by enjoining you as a team of the Commission to realize that your work forms a critical aspect in achieving the objective of our administration to removing 100 million Nigerians out of poverty. I am therefore looking forward to commissioning projects and programs of high impact to the disabled community in line with this vision.
The 8-member National Commission for Persons with Disabilities has Hussaini Hassan Kangiwa as chairman and James David Lalu as executive secretary. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has formally engaged Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State as the second wave of COVID-19 bites harder in the Center of Excellence. Their discussion, among others, also centered on efforts at rebuilding Lagos State after the mayhem and destruction of property which came in the wake of the last NSAS protest in parts of the country. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo again reports.
This is the second time in 2 months President Muhammadu Buhari will be engaging Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu on COVID-19 and the NSAS protest, both of which started from Lagos State. On COVID-19, for instance, now in its second wave, Lagos remains the epicenter, recording in just the last 2 days nearly 1,500 confirmed cases of the global pandemic, a situation the governor described as worrisome.
on COVID, it's actually a very serious case. You know, we've all said it, we're the second wave, and incidentally, the second wave seemed to be a lot more infectious than the first one. And we're seeing positive rates of about 25, sometimes 30%. You know, so that is actually very disturbing. And we've seen, unfortunately, the amount of fatality, you know, around the country, even in Lagos. And so one of the things that we've realized that a lot more people require, you know, oxygen, you know, attention. They need breathing, additional oxygen breathing. So we have started building what we call oxygen tent, you know, oxygen facilities. We're building about 10 of such facilities. I think we've commissioned about 4 or 5, you know, of them. And we're also building proper oxygen plants, additional to oxygen plants in the state, so that we can meet, you know, the respiratory requirements. We understand the virus more than where we are 10 months ago or 8 months ago. So we know what the treatment should be.
On his efforts at rebuilding Lagos State after the devastation suffered in the wake of the NSAS protests, the governor said already owners of small businesses affected have started receiving grants and soft loans to enable them come back together as soon as possible, while proper study is underway on devastated infrastructure and transportation facilities for necessary action. Discussions also centered on collaborative efforts Lagos State can enjoy with the federal government as regards the various economic opportunities that abound in the state.
Like you all know, Lagos is the commercial nerve center of the country, and so we need to, very early in the year, start up on economic programs and in activities that can improve not only our foreign direct investment, but also make Lagos, you know, an investor destination in the country. So there are a few things that are brought to his notice, a few projects that are brought to his notice, and how we can collaborate, you know, with the federal government, and also a few future projects that we're praying that he comes around, you know, and help us commissioning. He took very detailed notes. I was actually very, very, very happy. He took very detailed note and has given assurances that some of the points I've put up with him, I will be seeing some call-up or some follow-up, either through the Chief of Staff or through some of the agencies of the federal government.
Governor Sanwo-Olu said the security situation in Lagos State was also analyzed and the best way forward charted towards making the nation's commercial nerve center a lot more business-friendly. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Similarly, a COVID-19 survivor says the level of communication and clear understanding of the impact of the coronavirus pandemic on the people could play a key role in stemming the second wave of the pandemic as being experienced in the country. Governor Simon Lalong of Plateau State, who a few weeks ago survived the attack, says the people, especially at the grassroots, should be enlightened on the need to observe the non-medical protocol against the virus.
That this second wave is more dangerous than what we saw before. In my state, I've lost almost 5 people now. VIPs, that is VIPs for you. Talk less of even the ordinary person that is there. So in terms of approach, we need to be very, very vigilant, because the states, we've said it several times, although it is difficult to talk about locking down states now. It's difficult to talk about locking down states, but the way and manner people are going, I don't see that maybe at the end of the day people may be talking about that. Because when you start talking about losing 5 people within 2 weeks, and then tomorrow you're talking about, like yesterday, I saw it, my state, 160, definitely there must be an approach towards enforcement.
The governor, who spoke to the press after a visit to the vice president, said state governors are working in collaboration with the federal government to put an end to banditry and kidnapping in some parts of the country. There is an alarming increase in COVID-19 infections among young Nigerians. PTF Chairman Boss Mustafa at the national briefing on Abuja says the increasing case fatality rate and community spread should compel Nigerians to adhere to safety protocols. Mutari Ikpen reports.
Nigeria's COVID-19 test positivity rate is now almost 10%, and case fatality rate has increased to 3%. The PTF is worried with the trend, but insists on adherence to all non-pharmaceutical guidelines.
If we continue in the manner in which we are behaving as a people and as a nation, these figures would keep rising.
Our data is showing the majority of the cases recorded are between the ages of 21 to 50, and this poses a lot of risk to the elderly.
Despite crossing the 1 million mark for testing, the PTF says there's more work to be done.
We're still grossly under-testing, and this is reflected, of course, in the number of persons we are getting going into the hospitals versus what we actually have on the ground. I think there's a lot of transmission going on in the communities.
Top government officials will lead the advocacy for COVID-19 vaccination.
I would like to see a situation where Mr. President, the Vice President, the SGF, critical leaders come and take the vaccine in the full glare of the public to demonstrate that this vaccine is safe.
As COVID-19 cases get critical nationwide, the federal government has made provision for 10-bed intensive care units to be established across the 36 states and the FCT. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
Meanwhile, hospitals across the country have continued to benefit from increased oxygen supply from the Nigerian Air Force as a critical requirement for the treatment of COVID-19 patients. A consignment has already been delivered to the University of Abuja Teaching Hospital, Gwagwalada. Offloading the precious cargo from the NAF 917 aircraft, officials from the University Teaching Hospital Gwagwalada say they are eager to return to patients in critical care. Now that the country is in the grip of the second wave of the infection, there is increased demand for the gas.
Since we've been receiving this oxygen, it has helped a lot in keeping so many patients alive. And because of the pressure and the influx of these COVID patients in the center, before we were like 65% operating, but now with the support of the Nigerian Air Force, we have almost reached the optimal level of 100%.
With a capacity of producing 1,000 liters of liquid oxygen every 8 hours, the Nigerian Air Force says the amount is in excess of its air and medical requirements.
Oxygen is paramount in the management. So we realize many hospitals are battling with oxygen. So the Chief of the Air Staff decided to support hospitals with free oxygen.
And with countries like the UK celebrating the testing of a vaccine, it is yet to reach the shores of Africa. And that is why the distribution of these oxygen cylinders is a critical step in managing the disease. In addition to airlift missions, the Chief of the Air Staff says the Nigerian Air Force will sustain the free provision of liquid oxygen as part of boosting civil-military relations and supporting federal government efforts at combating the pandemic. Panorama returns shortly after this break. Stay with us.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
I believe we have fought one civil war too many in this country. So those who experience it will run away from it.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Thanks for staying tuned to Panorama. We're still talking COVID-19, and the second wave of the coronavirus pandemic has raised concern over the negligent attitude of Nigerians over the pandemic. With the world working towards reliable vaccines, the need for the people to obey imposed guidelines and protocols have come to the front burner. Against this backdrop, Austin Edemudu examines the dangers of flouting the guidelines and a prospect of a local vaccine against the pandemic.
Pandemic is once again spreading like wildfire as the second wave of the pandemic hits countries of Europe and America, in most cases resulting in high rate of fatalities, while total or partial lockdown has been reimposed. In Nigeria, the number of infected persons has risen to more than 94,369, with the highest number of 1,664 new cases on a single day since the second wave. Despite the reimposition of the COVID-19 guidelines and protocols in Nigeria, most Nigerians seem to be adamant of the obvious risk of flouting the directives.
With this kind of crowd behind me, it sends a wrong signal on the attitude of Nigerians towards averting the escalation of the COVID-19 pandemic.
We felt the COVID-19 has gone naturally the way it came, so everybody is living their normal life.
Most infectious diseases, epidemics that come like this, pandemics, most times you have a second wave. Because when the first one would have gone down, people will relax. We've been locked down. It's like letting a bird out of the cage. So people throw caution to the wind and all those preventive measures.
As at the time of this report, 2 persons have been placed on isolation, with 1 new death as authorities reopen isolation centers across Delta State.
In Delta State, is a gradual increase in the number. We have commenced testing. We can do testing in the hospital now. And so we're able to make our diagnosis quickly and intervene when we need to. The advice to Nigerians is for them to take precaution because there is a resurgence.
As the scramble for the trials and administration of the COVID-19 vaccines takes center stage in some countries of the world, there are suggestions that Nigeria must rise up to the challenge of providing the vaccines to over 206 million of her population as our stitching time saves 9. I'm Austin Edemudu, NTA.
And as the pandemic rages on, did you ever think that a piece of cloth over your mouth and nose would someday be a life-saving tool for humans, which today is largely referred to as the new normal? Cecilia Julius in this report seeks reasons as to why some people disregard the use of the face mask in spite of its potency to stem the transmission of the virus.
The pronouncement of a second wave of the coronavirus pandemic in the nation by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, shockwaves greeted the people, which called for more proactive measures to curtail its spread. While some people were nonchalant about precautionary measures, others view the transmission of the virus serious and are making sure that the disease is kept at bay. One item used to stem the spread of the pandemic and stay healthy is the face mask. But is the face mask effectively fighting this transmission?
The importance of a face mask cannot be overemphasized, especially when you're in an area where it's a little bit crowded or in public places. You must use a face mask.
In spite of government's calls and spread of information on the use of the face mask to fight the pandemic, why are people still adamant?
People find it easy to believe falsehood because falsehoods tend to be convenient. So when you believe that COVID-19 is not there, then you don't have to wear a face mask. You don't have to do what seemingly feels inconveniencing to them. And therefore, if anybody sells something to you that, oh, this is false, it becomes easier for you to believe.
Where I know that I sit with a lot of people that we are not spread as it is, I will use it.
If every individual we adhere to the putting on the face mask, it will protect us a lot. Experts
say obeying preventive safety protocols for one is safety for all. In Calabar, Cecilia Julius, NTA News.
Indeed, one for all is safety for all. The staff union of the National Identity Management Commission has embarked on a sit-in strike to demand for the provision of COVID-19 personal protective equipment and salary increase. ICT correspondent Joseph Johnson reports.
An unsettled crowd once again gather at the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC. But this time, it isn't about the rush for enrollment, as witnessed days ago, but the staff union protesting for a better welfare.
If you want us to work, protect me. Give me what will, even though I die, let me die and leave something for my family. Not when I die, I will leave my wife and the poor kids in debt. God forbid. I am not ready again because of less than 50,000 to put thousands of staff at risk.
The Director General, Nimsi Aliyu Aziz, who had met with the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Isa Ali Pantami, earlier, told NTA News that the situation will be addressed.
We understood that the grievance is mainly to do with salary, and we have been on this for a very long time. And the moment we have been moved to the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, then Dr. Pantami approved what we've been waiting for about 10 years ago. So what I believe that I heard them say is that the budget came out and they did not analyze it, and they have not seen the increase in the budget. But the management team and also the union have been in discussion, and we are assured that by tomorrow we should go back to normal work.
It is the hope of many that this development will not delay the enrollment process for the linking of NIN with SIM cards. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
As part of federal government plan to modernize the transport sector in line with global best practices, it has built a satellite campus of the Nigerian Institute of Transport Technology in Dawakin Kudu, Kano State. Muhammad Rabiu Ali reports.
The center, which was conceived 4 years ago, is designed to complement the Nigerian Institute of Transport Technology area in manpower production and transfer technology, as well as research in the transport sector. It consists of administrative block, technical section, simulator rooms, classes, among other facilities. Inspecting the project, the Director General, NITT, Bayero Salihi Farah, said, federal government is committed to creating an enabling environment for transport sector to remain a key player in the nation's economy. He says the Nigerian Institute of Transport Technology is repositioned to produce competent manpower in the sector.
Our institute is mandated to provide training to Nigerians working in the transport and logistics industry. We have trained thousands of Nigerians in this regard. I'm proud to say that many transport organizations across the country, at state levels and at federal levels, have our trainees at high positions now. So our contribution to the manpower development in the transport sector is enormous and significant.
The project, when inaugurated, will accommodate students from Northwest and some part of the neighboring African countries. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
Up next is Sports Update with Kene Emma Bodike.
Football fans have urged Golden Eagles of Nigeria to put behind their 1-0 defeat to Côte d'Ivoire in the WAFU B's annual competition opener in Lomé, Togo on Wednesday and concentrate on claiming victory over Black Starlets of Ghana on Saturday as the only way to qualify from the group stage.
There are many factors that might come into play. The Ghana have rested for days. They didn't play yesterday, so they will have more time to have rested. But it's not over. Mathematically in football, 90 minutes is what decides on the field of play. So I think for the Golden Eagles, let them put their acts together, correct their wrongs in this game.
Meanwhile, following Enyimba's ouster from the CAF Champions League, fans have renewed their call for the reinvigoration of the nation's domestic leagues as Nigeria bids to bounce back on the continent.
Now the league has started. By the time they will play matches going ahead, they will be able to get into party and of course play like an Imba we used to know.
Those in charge should be up and doing. They should develop the league so that it will now become competitive, because as it stands at the moment, it's so unfortunate that we don't have any club in Nigeria playing at the CAF Champions League.
Jose Mourinho and Pep Guardiola are set to renew their rivalry when Manchester City meets Tottenham Hotspur in the Carabao Cup final at Wembley on April 25, following Manchester City's 2-0 defeat of Manchester United on Wednesday. Elsewhere, the upcoming exhibitions of the Tokyo Olympics touch around the Japanese capital have been postponed until the end of January in order to reduce the flow of people and further spread of COVID-19. With sports update, Kenem Ima Abudike, NTA News.
And that concludes News Panorama. Thanks for watching.